Hi, to those who are watching this, I'm Charlotte. I've got a bit of a story, and it's almost to tell you why you need a plan B in this day and age. And I'm a self-employed theatre technician by trade. I work for various different venues in and around London, and here's what happened to me at New Year's and why I have multiple hospital wristbands lying around in my flat. I need to tidy up and put them in the bin. So I have gallstones. They're quite common. Most people actually do have them. They are a buildup of cholesterol in the gallbladder, and what happens is usually your body just naturally clears them out, and they go down the bile ducts and they disappear, and you flush them out of your system on a regular basis. But what's happened to me is I've recently been on some medication that carries the risk of making gallstones bigger and causing problems with the gallbladder and the hepatic biliary system. Really hard to pronounce it. I'm never going to pronounce the rest of the what an ERCP actually stands for, but I'll talk about that in a little minute. So what happened to me was right here in the gallbladder, which is just behind your liver. I got a buildup of stones in the gallbladder, and they decided that they were going to take their party and just go down this set of bile ducts here and make their way out. And normally this wouldn't be a problem, and it isn't a problem for most people, but what happened with me is one got stuck somewhere in this whole set of tubes here. Now, I do actually have a 2.5 centimetre one that gets stuck in the neck of my gallbladder, which is good because it's not going to cause me the same problems as I had at New Year. So on New Year's Eve, I received a phone call from my surgeon who is dealing with all my gallstones at around about 7:30 in the morning, saying, "Hey, I've had a look at your blood results. I've seen that you've been back to A&E a couple of times. I want you to come in and have some blood tests done and have an MRI done. Have you eaten anything in the past few hours?" And I said, "Not since last night. The only thing that I had is I've been drinking water all night, but drank a considerable amount. And I'd taken my tablets because my tablets get taken around about midnight, and I hadn't actually taken them for a couple of hours because I'd completely forgotten about them, even though I have reminders. I'm really bad at taking my tablets. So what happened is I go straight to the imaging department as I was told to do, and they're like, "Oh, we need you nil by mouth for 6 hours." So I was like, okay, I'll go downstairs, I'll speak to the guys in A&E, I'll get my bloods done, and I'll get all my sort of check over done with the A&E department, because that's what I've been told to do after I've been to the MRI department. So I make my way down there. I have a set of bloods done. My liver function comes out as being quite high again, which, given the medication that I'm on at the moment, it could have been quite high anyway. There was no sort of normal baseline that they could look at without getting the records from my GP, which they should have really done that, but we're not going to go into that too much. So what happened was my bloods all came back, and around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was looking like I was going home, as I'd pretty much planned to. I'd driven to the hospital in the morning because my surgeon had said, "Well, we don't think we'll be keeping you. There's no worries in you driving in. If you're not in pain, then you should be fine." Little did I know that what they were about to find on my MRI scan that I had that afternoon, within these ducts, as I mentioned earlier, a stone had moved from the gallbladder and down into this tube and was causing a blockage. The problem with that is that it was causing me to feel quite ill. It was making me so ill that I was starting to throw up, and I wasn't having the prettiest of times in December. Thankfully now I'm much better. But what happened at 5 o'clock that afternoon was my surgeon came to me and was like, you've got two choices. You can become an inpatient, stay here, we'll look after you, we'll sort you out as soon as possible, get you what's called an ERCP, and remove the stone that we think might be there. We're still not sure. It could be an anomaly on the MRI. I was like, all right, fair enough. The other option was to go home and them to arrange the ERCP for me, and me to come back in, have that done, and be sent home. Now, the biggest problem that I always saw in my head was the fact that I live at home alone. I live in a one-bed flat by myself, so there's nobody here to look after me. So I choose to go in as an inpatient, and they take all my medications down. Doctor's handwriting is pretty bad. It took me and the pharmacist another half an hour later to work out what had been written in each box and work out what medications needed bringing up from the pharmacy, and all that sort of jazz. I'm gonna fast forward a couple of days to the day after New Year's Day. I'd pretty much not eaten for 3 solid days. Prior to this, I'd just been eating soup, so I was pretty sort of like I wasn't fussed by this point about not actually having had any food, because every time I ate I ended up with severe pain across my diaphragm, like somebody was cutting me in half from the inside out. So my actual sort of description is a little gremlin who's just kind of trying to claw himself out any way that he can from the center of your chest, and there is nothing you can do about it. The 5 times that I've been to A&E over the course of December, I had been sent home after a few hours because the pain had started to subside as the gallbladder contractions were reducing. So the stone wasn't being forced down anymore, which was what was the main cause of the pain. So what actually happens in an ERCP? So it's an endoscopy procedure. So they send the endoscope down through your throat, all the way down your esophagus, into your stomach. And the reason why you need to be completely devoid of food for 6 hours is because they go out the bottom and into the duodenum, which is just the top of your small intestine. Once in there, they find the opening to your biliary ducts here, and then they send a catheter in and start looking inside using different techniques. An ERCP uses X-rays to work out what's going on and try and find the stone or whatever the blockage is in your bile ducts. Once they find the blockage, they can go in. They can use various different stents, catheters, and all sorts of different things to break up any stones that they find there and remove them. So you can guess they found a stone, and I ended up staying another night in the hospital. So they removed that stone during the ERCP, and kept me in overnight just to make sure that I was all okay, mainly because I had nobody to go home to, and I was under a sedative. Now, I've been told that I wasn't allowed to drive home the following day, so when I was discharged that afternoon, I was sent down to the discharge lounge, which is the most depressing area of a hospital I've ever been in, because there was nobody really there that I could have a chat with, talk to, apart from the discharge team, because they were all busy dealing with the clients. There wasn't really a conversation that you could hold with them, and everyone was just literally coming in and going within a few minutes. So you're just sat there like waiting for somebody to come pick you up, and you don't know what to do with yourself, so you're just waiting. And unfortunately for me, the people that were picking me up were my parents, and they were coming all the way from Manchester. And I hadn't told them to set off until around about 10 a.m. when I'd been told that I was being discharged from the hospital. So they were like a good sort of between 4 and 6 hours away from collecting me from the hospital. So I get on the phone to my friend to find out if they could come pick me up and drive me home in my car, or just come pick me up anyway, because I wasn't allowed to leave by myself, which I would have quite happily done, and probably got pulled over by the police for being intoxicated or something stupid, given the circumstances. So yeah, thankfully my friend came and rescued me, took me home, and as soon as I pretty much like half an hour after I got home, my parents arrived and looked after me for the following few days. And I don't say this lightly, like, I'm very thankful for my parents coming down. And originally I wasn't going to ask them to come down. It was actually another patient on my ward that was like, you're gonna need them to come down. You're not gonna be kind of very sort of compos mentis. You're not gonna be very with it for the following few days. And to be honest, I actually wasn't. I slept quite a lot, as I normally do, but it was slightly more exacerbated because my body was still trying to recover. I actually ended up back in A&E one more time just for the fun of it, a couple of days after I'd got home, and that was because I ended up in pain again. I was struggling to manage it. The painkillers that I had to hand weren't helping me, so I went back to A&E just to get everything checked over, make sure that my liver function hadn't gone up again, and to ensure that everything that was going on was all okay and there was no complications that had arisen from the ERCP. Now, there very rarely is many complications from ERCP, only if they make an incision at the sphincter to the biliary ducts. So they sometimes make a small incision there that helps them to get in. Now, I don't actually know if they did that to me. I don't remember very much about my actual endoscopy, other than the fact that I came round partway through and sort of started to retch on the endoscope, to be given more sedation. There's an ambulance going by. To be given more sedation shortly after I started to retch, and the scope to be shoved back down my throat quite quickly after that, and that's all I actually remember of the endoscopy. But why am I talking about this, and why am I spending 10 minutes going, you need a plan B, this is what happened to me at New Year's? So I'm self-employed. Other people out there, you might be employed, you might get a bit of sick pay if that was to ever have happened to you and you were supposed to have been working, especially because it took me out for almost a week and a half. It took me off work. So I wasn't able to work. I had to cancel shifts, organise cover for those shifts, and yeah, it became a bit of a nightmare in terms of work. And the reason I talk about needing a plan B is because you don't always get to foresee the practicalities of your future, and sometimes you might end up in hospital like I did and need a passive income stream that will help keep you stable. Now, I've got that, and I've started working quite hard, and I'm working quite tirelessly towards a passive income stream to make sure that if anything like this ever happens to me again, that I will have some security in the knowledge that I have an income no matter what. And it is my plan B right now, but it's very much, very quickly showing itself to me that this could be my plan A and it will work out for me, so long as I stay dedicated to making my plan B work. Now, I know most of my friends are quite sensible and have a plan B themselves, but some people don't and don't understand that the economy of today is just not what it used to be. Your job security is not what it was 15, 20 years ago. And now, in this space and time, having your own business and working for yourself is probably the only secure job that you'll ever have, because you are working for yourself and you're not going to fire yourself. So, what's the point in me saying all of this? Well, if you don't have a plan B, I urge you to find one, and if you want help finding a plan B, I'm happy to be there for you and to show you what my plan B is and help you build your own plan B. Thanks for listening. I hope this has been useful for you, and please do feel free to get in touch if you're interested in what I have to offer.